Welcome to Conversations for a Better You. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell to stay inspired and keep growing with us.
All right, so get ready. We're diving deep into some serious personal growth territory today.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a whole stack of Jordan Peterson lectures, and let me tell you,
A staff.
I am already buzzing with ideas.
Yeah.
So many insights in these things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can pull out, I don't know, some real gems
Well,
about self-improvement, responsibility, all that good stuff that Peterson's known for.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? Ready to unlock some potential?
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Peterson's, he's known for that direct approach, like cutting through all the noise to get to the core of, human behavior and how we operate.
You can be a real wake-up call, can it?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that really jumped out at me was this question he asks.
Okay.
What remarkably stupid things am I doing to screw up my life?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
It's a little jarring at first, but it gets you thinking, right?
It does. It's about, honest self-reflection, shining a light on those blind spots that, we all have.
Yeah.
And he's not saying we should, wallow in self-criticism or anything.
Right.
But it's more about identifying those subtle but impactful ways that we might be, sabotaging ourselves.
He even talks about, analyzing arguments with his wife.
Right.
And trying to find, the 5% of the blame that was his.
Wow.
Even when he was convinced it was 95% her fault.
That's a great illustration of...
Isn't it?
Yeah, like taking ownership. It's easy to point fingers or blame external factors, but Peterson, he argues that real change starts with recognizing our own role, in a given situation.
So once we've kind of confronted those shortcomings, where do we go from there? What's next? Well, Peterson talks about the power of asking.
Okay.
But not in a, a superficial sense.
Right.
He references that classic line, ask and it shall be given.
Oh, yeah.
But he adds this crucial twist.
Okay.
It's not about simply wishing for things.
Right.
It's about aligning your entire being, like your whole self, towards a goal.
He calls this actually wanting something.
Yes.
And it involves more than just, setting an intention, right?
It does. It involves sacrifice,
Okay.
letting go of things that are holding you back,
Mm-hmm.
and fully committing to the work required.
It's interesting because that makes me think of, orienting your life toward the kind of the highest good that you can conceive.
Yes.
I love that analogy he uses about, the living ark, doing something truly worthwhile before the metaphorical flood hits.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It makes you think about your priorities.
Yeah. It really does.
Yeah.
It does.
It's about making choices that align with that greater purpose, even when they require giving up something comfortable or familiar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got honest self-reflection, aligning our desires with our actions, embracing sacrifice.
Yeah.
But how do we actually put this into action?
Well, Peterson, he highlights the importance of self-knowledge.
Okay.
He talks about, watching yourself like a stranger.
What does he mean by that?
So it's about paying attention to your actions, to your reactions, even your inner monologue.
So becoming like a researcher of our own lives.
It's exact.
Instead of just going through the motions, we actually start paying attention to the patterns, the thoughts, the things that we normally wouldn't even notice.
Right, exactly. And he asks, what personality traits do you see emerging? What stories are you telling yourself? What are your, your default reactions in certain situations?
That's where it gets really interesting because he talks about these sub-personalities that kind of exist within us.
Right.
He's arguing that we're not entirely masters of our own minds.
Yeah, it can feel that way sometimes.
Sometimes it feels like I have a whole committee making decisions up there.
Yeah, exactly. And think about things like, dreams, impulses, those bursts of interest that come out of nowhere. Peterson suggests these might be glimpses into those sub-personalities.
So instead of dismissing them as random or weird, he's saying we should actually listen to them.
Yeah, because they might be trying to tell us something important. And, ignoring these internal callings could mean missing out on a whole side of ourselves.
That's a little scary, but also kind of exciting, right?
It is.
Like if we're not entirely in control,
Yeah.
what else is going on in there?
Right. And Peterson, he suggests that we think of these subpersonalities almost as something akin to spirits, or as he uses the term divine. Because they often grip us with a force that we can't deny.
That's kind of giving me chills, I have to say.
Yeah.
So we're talking dreams, those gut feelings that pull us in certain directions, even creative impulses. He's suggesting these might be messages from a deeper part of ourselves.
Precisely.
Okay.
And he encourages us to pay attention to those messages, even when they challenge our assumptions, or lead us into uncharted territory. He says to ignore them, to ignore these things, might be to miss out on something truly meaningful.
That makes me think about all the times that I've ignored my intuition or talked myself out of something that felt right in my gut.
We've all been there. Right?
Yeah.
It's easy to dismiss those intuitive nudges, especially if they challenge our comfort zones. But what if those nudges are guiding us towards something we need to experience?
Okay, so I think we're starting to see some themes emerge here.
Okay.
We've got honesty, self-awareness, aligning our actions with a higher purpose.
Yes.
And now this idea of listening to our inner voices,
right?
Even the ones that we might not fully understand. This is getting pretty deep.
It is. And, there's even more to uncover.
Oh, okay.
What stands out to you so far?
Honestly, I'm really struck by this idea of the sub-personalities.
Yeah.
It feels a bit unsettling, but also kind of exciting. It's like if we're not entirely in control,
right?
What else is going on in there?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, Peterson suggests that we think of these subpersonalities as something akin to spirits, or he uses the term divine because they often grip us with a force that we can't deny.
That's giving me chills. So we're talking dreams, those gut feelings that pull us in certain directions, even creative impulses. He's suggesting these might be messages from a deeper part of ourselves.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And he encourages us to pay attention to those messages, even when they challenge our assumptions or lead us into uncharted territory. To ignore them might be to miss out on something truly meaningful.
But what about those times when, those impulses lead us astray? We all have those moments where we do. We give in to temptation or make choices that we later regret.
Right.
Does Peterson address that at all?
Absolutely. He emphasizes the importance of discernment.
Okay.
It's not about blindly following every whim or impulse.
Yeah.
It's about learning to distinguish between the impulses that serve our higher good and those that might lead us down, a destructive path.
So it's more like a dance then, between our conscious and our unconscious selves.
Yeah.
Like we listen to those inner voices, but we also take responsibility for our choices and make sure that they're aligned with our values.
Exactly. And through that dance, we learn more about who we are and what we're capable of becoming.
But it's not always easy, is it?
No. Life throws us curveballs.
We get sidetracked.
Yeah.
We feel lost sometimes.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, how does Peterson suggest we navigate those moments when life throws us those curveballs, when things feel unfair, or we're dealing with setbacks, or even just feeling a bit resentful about things?
That's where his perspective on resentment gets really interesting, I think.
Okay.
He doesn't see it as something to just suppress or ignore.
Okay.
He suggests it can actually be a valuable guide, like a warning light on your dashboard.
So instead of getting bogged down in the negative feelings, we should try to figure out what that resentment is trying to tell us.
Exactly. Peterson suggests that resentment often signals one of two things, really.
Okay.
It's either a need for personal growth,
Yeah.
like, hey, stop complaining and do something about it.
Yeah.
Or it's a sign that someone is mistreating you and you need to set some boundaries.
It's like that saying, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Like we might not be able to control everything that happens to us.
Right.
But we can choose how we respond.
Exactly. And Peterson, he reminds us that even in the face of great adversity, we do have the power to choose our response. He highlights Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Okay.
You know, the Russian novelist and historian who wrote the Gulag Archipelago.
Wasn't that about his experiences in the Soviet prison camps?
It was.
Pretty heavy stuff.
It is. It is. But Solzhenitsyn's story is such a powerful example of resilience and the transformative power of truth. He chose to confront the horrors he experienced, not by remaining silent, but by speaking out. By telling his story, by refusing to let the darkness consume him.
And that's a reminder that sometimes confronting the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, can be a catalyst for profound change.
And Peterson, he connects this back to our own lives, right?
Yeah.
He believes that even small acts of truth-telling, of standing up for what we believe in, can have a ripple effect.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah, we have.
Confronting our shortcomings, setting meaningful goals, embracing our subpersonalities, and now this powerful idea of truth-telling and resilience. It's like each concept builds on the previous one, forming a kind of roadmap for personal growth.
It is. And it speaks to the importance of recognizing that, personal growth is a journey.
Right.
It's not a destination.
Not a destination.
There will be challenges along the way, moments of doubt, times when we feel like we're taking 2 steps back for every 1 step forward.
That's so true. It can be discouraging.
Yeah.
So what does Peterson, what does he say about those moments when we stumble?
He actually sees setbacks as essential parts of the learning process.
Okay.
He doesn't sugarcoat things. Life is hard, and we're all going to face challenges and failures. But he encourages us to view these experiences not as defeats, but as opportunities for growth.
So instead of like getting discouraged or giving up, we should try to extract the valuable lessons from our mistakes.
It's about adopting a growth mindset.
Okay.
Recognizing that failure is not the opposite of success, but a stepping stone to it.
I love that.
Yep.
So it's not about avoiding mistakes altogether, but about learning to navigate them effectively and using them to become more resilient and resourceful.
Precisely. It's about developing that ability to bounce back from adversity, to learn from our mistakes. To come back stronger and wiser.
I love it. So, we're talking about setbacks and stumbles. But what about when we're dealing with something a little deeper? Like, what if we're feeling resentment or bitterness or, even anger that seems to be holding us back? How do we deal with that?
That's where Peterson's perspective on resentment, I think, is really, really interesting. He doesn't see it as something to just suppress or ignore.
Right.
He actually suggests it can be a valuable guide.
Okay.
Like a warning light, like I was saying, on your dashboard.
So instead of getting bogged down in the negative feelings, we should try to figure out what that resentment is trying to tell us.
Exactly. And Peterson suggests resentment often signals one of 2 things.
Okay.
Either a need for personal growth.
Okay.
Like, hey, stop complaining and do something about it.
Yeah, get off the couch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it's a sign that someone is mistreating you.
Right.
And you need to set some boundaries.
It's like that saying, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
Yeah.
We might not be able to control everything that happens to us, but we can choose how we respond.
Precisely. And Peterson, he reminds us that even in the face of great adversity, we do have the power to choose our response. He highlights Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Oh, yeah.
The Russian novelist and historian.
Yeah.
You might know him. He wrote the Gulag Archipelago.
About his experiences in the the Soviet prison camps. Yeah, pretty heavy stuff.
It is, but Solzhenitsyn's story is such a powerful example of resilience and the transformative power of truth. He chose to confront the horrors he experienced, not by remaining silent, but by speaking out, by telling his story,
right,
by refusing to let the darkness consume him.
It's a reminder that sometimes confronting the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, can be like a catalyst for profound change.
And Peterson, he connects this back to our own lives, right? He believes that even small acts of truth-telling, of standing up for what we believe in, can have, a ripple effect.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
We've talked about confronting our shortcomings,
Yeah.
setting those meaningful goals, embracing those sub-personalities.
Yes.
And now this powerful idea of truth-telling and resilience.
Right. And it's like each concept kind of builds on the previous one.
Yeah.
Form it like a roadmap, you said.
Yeah, like a road.
For personal growth.
It really does.
And it speaks to the importance of recognizing that personal growth is a journey. It's not a destination.
All right.
There will be challenges. There will be moments of doubt. Times where we feel like we're taking 2 steps back for every 1 step forward.
It can be discouraging, though,
It can. It can.
What does Peterson say about those times, when we stumble?
He sees setbacks as essential parts of the learning process.
Okay.
He doesn't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
Life is hard. We're all going to face challenges and failures. But he encourages us to view these experiences not as defeats, but as opportunities for growth.
So instead of getting discouraged or giving up, we should try to extract those valuable lessons.
Exactly. It's about
adopting a growth mindset.
Okay.
Recognizing that failure is not the opposite of success.
Right.
But a stepping stone to it.
Yeah. So it's not about avoiding the mistakes, but about learning to navigate them effectively and using them to become,
I guess, more resilient and resourceful.
It's about developing that ability to bounce back from adversity, to learn from our mistakes, and to come back stronger and wiser.
I love it. So I think that's a good place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
And there's still so much more to explore.
A lot more to unpack.
So we'll pick up this conversation in our next deep dive.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's about establishing a sense of control in our lives, right? And so when we create order in our external environment, it often reflects like an inner shift towards greater self-discipline, responsibility. It's like a microcosm of those larger changes we want to make.
A tiny little, like a little practice run.
Exactly.
A little training ground.
Exactly.
This makes me think about all those areas in my life where I feel, stuck or overwhelmed. And maybe instead of trying to tackle everything at once, I could start by just focusing on one small area and creating some order there. Could be my physical space, could be my finances, could even be my daily routine.
That's a great way to apply this principle.
Yeah.
It's about building momentum, starting with something manageable.
Okay.
And using that sense of accomplishment to kind of fuel further growth.
Okay.
Small wins can have a big impact on our overall well-being and motivation.
I'm starting to see how this whole cleaning your room metaphor connects to a lot of what we've been talking about.
It does.
It's about taking ownership, setting priorities, and taking action, even when those actions seem, small or insignificant.
Absolutely.
But what about those times when, fear holds us back? What does Peterson say about navigating those moments when we feel paralyzed by doubt or anxiety?
Peterson acknowledges that fear is a natural part of the human experience, but he doesn't believe that we should let it, dictate our lives.
Right.
He uses this analogy of a lobster.
Oh, okay.
Which, when facing a threat, either retreats or fights.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What do lobsters have to do with overcoming fear?
So lobsters have this fascinating nervous system. And so when they win a fight, their serotonin levels increase.
Okay.
Which makes them more confident and assertive.
Okay.
But when they lose a fight, their serotonin levels drop. And they become more timid and withdrawn.
So it's like a biological feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly.
Where success breeds confidence and failure breeds fear. And he's suggesting that humans operate in a similar way.
Exactly. Peterson suggests that we have a similar system, right? So when we face our fears and overcome challenges, our brains reward us with those feel-good chemicals, that boost our confidence and encourage us to keep pushing forward. But when we avoid challenges or give in to fear, we reinforce those patterns of, timidity and self-doubt.
So it's not about becoming fearless then.
No.
But about understanding how our brains respond to those challenges. And learning to manage our fear in a way that allows us to grow. Precisely.
Peterson encourages us to lean into those moments of discomfort, to push past our perceived limitations, to embrace those challenges that life throws our way.
It's like that saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. Easier said than done.
Yes, it is.
But I can see how, facing those fears, even in small ways, can build confidence over time.
Absolutely. And it's about recognizing that growth and transformation often occur on the other side of our comfort zones. But it's important to remember that we don't have to do this alone.
Right.
Peterson talks a lot about seeking guidance and support from others.
So like finding mentors or role models who can kind of help us navigate those challenging moments.
Absolutely. He believes that we can learn a great deal from the experiences and the wisdom of others.
Okay.
And so by surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us and challenge us to grow, we create this support system that can help us to, stay on track and to navigate those inevitable bumps in the road.
It makes me think about the importance of like community and connection. We don't have to go it alone.
Right.
We can draw strength and inspiration from others who have walked a similar path.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
We are social creatures.
Yeah.
And we thrive when we feel connected to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Peterson also emphasizes the importance of giving back.
Oh, okay.
Of contributing to something beyond our own individual needs and desires.
So it's not just about taking care of ourselves, but also about,
using our strengths and our talents to make a positive impact on the world around us.
Peterson believes that true fulfillment comes from living a life that is both meaningful and purposeful. And that often involves finding ways to contribute to something larger than ourselves, whether it's our families, our communities, or the world at large.
I'm starting to see like a pattern here.
Yeah.
A lot of Peterson's teachings seem to revolve around this idea of moving beyond our like egocentric desires and aligning ourselves with a greater purpose.
Yes.
It's about recognizing that we are part of something larger than ourselves and that our actions have consequences that kind of ripple outwards.
That's a profound insight.
Yeah.
And it is a theme that runs throughout Peterson's work. He believes that we are wired for meaning making and that finding our place
in the world is essential for living a fulfilling life.
But how do we actually like go about finding our place in the world? It can feel so overwhelming,
It can be.
Especially in today's society where there are so many options and paths to choose from.
He suggests we start by paying attention to what brings us joy and a sense of fulfillment. He asks things like, what activities make you lose track of time? What causes you to feel deeply engaged and energized?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into those moments of flow. Where we're so absorbed in what we're doing that everything else just kind of fades away.
Exactly.
Those activities, I think, they often hold clues
to
our passions and our purpose.
They do. And once we've kind of identified those areas of interest, we can start exploring ways to integrate them into our lives, whether it's through our work, our hobbies, or our relationships.
It's about finding ways to kind of align our daily actions with our deeper sense of purpose so that we're not just, going through the motions, but living a life that feels, meaningful and authentic.
Exactly. And that alignment brings with it this sense of peace and satisfaction that no external achievement can replicate. It's about finding that sweet spot where our passions and our talents and our values all kind of intersect.
Wow, I like that.
And using that intersection to create a life that is truly our own.
So by paying attention to what brings us joy and a sense of fulfillment, we can begin to uncover our unique purpose and find our place in the world.
Yes.
It's like a treasure hunt within ourselves.
I love that. It is a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
And the treasure is a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling.
Wow.
But like any treasure hunt, it requires effort, persistence, and a willingness to venture into uncharted territory.
But what about those times when we feel like we've dug and dug, but we still haven't found the treasure? What if we're feeling discouraged or lost along the way?
That's where Peterson's emphasis on faith comes in. I think he believes that faith is not about blindly believing in something,
right?
But it's about having the courage to take action.
Okay.
Even when we don't have all the answers.
So trusting the process.
Exactly.
Even when we can't see the outcome.
It's about having that faith that if we keep searching, keep striving, and keep moving forward, we will eventually find what we're looking for.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off of having to have everything figured out now. You know, it's okay to not know, to be uncertain, to have doubts. The important thing is to just keep moving forward.
Yes. That's the key. And Peterson often talks about the importance of, walking the path.
Okay.
Even when we can't see the destination. He believes that it is through this process of taking action, of confronting challenges, and of persevering through those difficult times, that we ultimately discover who we are and what we're capable of becoming.
This is really powerful stuff.
It is.
So even when we're feeling lost or uncertain, we can trust that process of searching, of striving, is ultimately leading us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves and our purpose.
Exactly. It's about embracing the journey with all its twists and turns and trusting that we will find our way.
This has been such a rich and insightful conversation.
Can I ask?
We've covered so much ground, from confronting our shadows and embracing responsibility to finding meaning in the mundane and cultivating a heroic attitude.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, what about those times when our own kind of inner critic gets in the way? That voice in our heads that says, you're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. How does Peterson address that inner saboteur?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it brings us to one of, I think, Peterson's most powerful concepts. This idea of treating ourselves as if we were someone we were responsible for helping.
Okay, I'm not sure I follow that. What does that mean exactly?
So imagine you were responsible for the well-being of, let's say, a child, a loved one, or even, a pet. Would you allow them to wallow in self-doubt and negativity?
No, of course not.
Would you constantly criticize them and tell them they weren't good enough?
I would encourage them, support them, and do everything in my power to help them reach their full potential.
And Peterson suggests that we should extend that same level of care and compassion to ourselves.
To ourselves.
Instead of listening to that inner critic, we should challenge those negative thoughts and replace them with more positive and empowering beliefs.
So it's about becoming like our own best friend, our own biggest cheerleader, our own most loving and supportive parent.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we deserve that same level of kindness and compassion and understanding that we would extend to someone we love.
This is powerful.
That is.
It's like a complete shift in perspective. Instead of beating ourselves up, we can start treating ourselves with that same love and encouragement that we would offer to someone we cherish.
Yeah.
But how do we actually silence that inner critic? It can be so loud and persistent sometimes.
It can. Peterson suggests a combination of cognitive behavioral techniques and mindfulness practices.
Okay.
So cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT as it's known, helps us to identify and challenge those negative thought patterns, while mindfulness practices help us to become more aware of those thoughts and to create space between our thoughts and our reactions.
So it's not about suppressing those negative thoughts
Right.
or pretending they don't exist,
Right.
but about becoming more conscious of them
Yeah.
and choosing how we respond to them.
Exactly. It's about taking back control of our inner dialogue and creating more positive and supportive mental environment.
But I'm wondering, what about those times when those negative thoughts are rooted in real experiences?
Yeah.
Like, what if we've made mistakes in the past or experienced trauma that's left us feeling,
Right.
I don't know, broken or unworthy?
Yeah, that's a really important question.
Yeah.
And Peterson acknowledges that healing from past wounds can be a complex and challenging process.
Yeah.
And he often talks about the importance of seeking professional help when needed, whether it's through therapy, counseling, or support groups.
So it's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely.
When we're struggling.
Yeah, there's no shame in seeking support when we need it. In fact, it's often a sign of strength and courage to acknowledge our limitations and reach out for guidance.
That's reassuring.
It is.
Know that we don't have to, figure everything out on our own.
Right.
We don't have to suffer in silence. We can reach out to others for support and guidance.
Exactly. And Peterson reminds us
Yeah.
that we are not alone in our struggles. We are all part of the human experience, and we all face challenges and setbacks along the way.
That's true. So even when we're feeling, broken or unworthy, we can remember that we're not alone.
Right.
And that there are resources available to help us heal and grow.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we all have the capacity for resilience, and that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for healing and transformation.
This has been such a powerful conversation.
It has been.
We've covered so much ground,
Yeah.
from confronting our shadows and embracing responsibility to finding meaning in the mundane, cultivating that heroic attitude, and even learning to silence that inner critic.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, how do we actually put all of this into practice in a way that feels sustainable?
Right.
How do we make these principles a part of our everyday lives rather than just something we think about occasionally?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it brings us to Peterson's emphasis on the importance of developing good habits and routines.
Okay.
He believes that our habits shape our lives, and that by consciously cultivating positive habits, we create a foundation for success and well-being.
So it's not just about like willpower or
Yeah.
motivation,
Yeah.
but about creating systems and structures that support our desired outcomes.
Exactly. It's about automating
Oh, right.
those positive behaviors that lead to a fulfilling life,
Oh, okay.
so that we don't have to rely solely on
Yeah.
willpower or motivation,
Right.
which can fluctuate.
They do.
They do.
So instead of trying to like force ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to change overnight, we should focus on building
Right.
those small, consistent habits that will gradually kind of transform our lives.
It's about making those incremental changes that over time compound into significant results.
Can you give some examples of what those like small positive habits might look like?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It could be something as simple as making your bed every morning, going for a walk each day, or spending 15 minutes meditating before bed. The key is to choose habits that align with your values and your goals,
Okay.
and to practice them consistently,
Right.
even when you don't feel like it.
Even when you don't feel like it.
Yes.
So it's about creating like a structure for ourselves, a kind of scaffolding that supports our growth and development.
And Peterson reminds us that building good habits takes time and effort.
Right?
It is a process. It's not a quick fix. But the rewards are well worth it. When we develop positive habits, we create a foundation for a life that's more disciplined, more fulfilling, and more aligned with our true potential.
But I'm wondering, what about those times when we slip up?
Yeah, of course.
We're all human. We're bound to make mistakes or fall back into old patterns.
Right.
What does Peterson say about navigating?
He encourages us to practice self-compassion.
Oh, okay.
He reminds us that we're all works in progress, and that it's okay to stumble along the way.
Okay.
The important thing is to learn from our mistakes,
Right.
to get back on track, and to keep moving forward.
So it's not about being perfect,
No.
but about being persistent.
Exactly. Peterson talks about the importance of aiming up,
Okay.
setting our sights high,
Yeah.
striving for excellence, even if we don't always achieve perfection.
Okay.
He believes that it is through this process of striving,
Yeah.
of reaching beyond our current limitations,
Yeah.
that we ultimately achieve our greatest potential.
This is so empowering.
It is.
You know, even when we make mistakes
Mm-hmm.
or experience setbacks,
Yeah.
we can choose to see them as opportunities
Yes.
for learning and growth
Uh-huh.
rather than as reasons to give up.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that, that the journey of personal growth is a lifelong process,
Right.
and that there will be ups and downs along the way.
Yeah.
The key is to keep moving forward, to keep learning and keep striving to become the best versions of ourselves.
You know, as we're talking about this, I'm struck by how many of Peterson's teachings seem to connect back to this idea of personal responsibility. It seems like he's really emphasizing that we have more agency than we often realize, and that by taking ownership of our choices, of our actions, we can create a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
That's a brilliant observation, and it is a core theme that runs throughout his work.
Yeah.
Peterson challenges us to move beyond a victim mentality and to embrace the empowering truth that we are ultimately responsible for our own lives.
But what about those situations where we truly are victims of circumstances beyond our control?
Yeah.
Like, what about people who are facing poverty or oppression or systemic injustice?
Yeah.
Does Peterson address those realities?
He does, and he acknowledges that those situations
Yeah.
can be incredibly challenging.
Right.
And that systemic issues do exist. However, he also believes that even in the face of adversity, we can choose how we respond.
Okay.
And that we always have the power to make choices that empower us, even if those choices are limited.
So it's about focusing on what we can control.
Exactly.
Even in those situations where we feel powerless.
It's about finding those areas where we can make a difference, even if it's just in our own small sphere of influence.
Okay.
Peterson reminds us that even small acts of kindness, courage, and integrity can have a ripple effect, creating positive change in our own lives and in the world around us.
That's so inspiring. It's a reminder that we're not helpless victims of circumstance, but that we have the power to choose our response and to create a more positive reality, even in the face of adversity.
It's about reclaiming our agency and recognizing that we are not simply passive bystanders in our own lives, but active participants who can shape our own destinies.
This brings to mind Peterson's discussion of truth and its importance in personal growth. He seems to place a high value on aligning our actions with our words.
Yes.
On living with integrity and being honest with ourselves and with others.
Absolutely. Peterson sees truth as a foundational principle for a meaningful life. He believes that when we live in accordance with truth, we create a sense of inner peace and harmony. We also build trust with others, which is essential for healthy relationships and a thriving society.
It makes me think about all the times that we tell ourselves little lies.
Yes.
Or make excuses for our behavior.
Yeah.
How do we become more truthful with ourselves? Especially when those truths might be difficult or uncomfortable to face.
Peterson suggests we start by paying attention to those moments.
Okay.
When we feel a sense of inner conflict or dissonance, those feelings often signal that we're out of alignment with our values or that we're avoiding something important.
So it's about being willing to look in the mirror and kind of confront those aspects of ourselves that we might have been trying to ignore or deny.
Exactly. And while that process of self-confrontation can be uncomfortable, it's also incredibly liberating.
Okay.
It allows us to shed those masks we've been wearing and to embrace our true selves.
It's about recognizing that, our flaws aren't something to be ashamed of.
No.
But simply part of what makes us human. And by embracing those imperfections, we become, I think, more compassionate towards ourselves and others.
Precisely. And that compassion creates space for genuine connection and growth. It also allows us to forgive ourselves for past mistakes and move forward with a greater sense of freedom and authenticity.
This is so insightful. But I'm wondering, how do we actually cultivate that self-compassion? Especially, when we've been conditioned to be so self-critical. Or when we've internalized those negative messages from our past.
Peterson often talks about the importance of, like we were saying before, treating ourselves as if we were someone we were responsible for helping.
Right.
So he suggests we ask ourselves, if this were my child, my friend, or my sibling, what would I say to them in this situation? Would we berate them for their mistakes?
Of course not.
Or would we offer words of encouragement and support?
Yeah, it's a powerful
it is.
shift in perspective. Instead of beating ourselves up, we can start treating ourselves with that same love and compassion that we would offer to someone we cherish.
And as we cultivate that self-compassion, we become more resilient to those negative thoughts and beliefs that can hold us back. Right. We also create a more positive and supportive inner environment, which fosters growth and transformation.
So it's like we're reclaiming our own worthiness and recognizing that we are deserving of love and kindness, even when we, make mistakes or fall short of our own.
Absolutely. That's the essence of self-compassion. And it's a foundational principle for living a more fulfilling and authentic life.
This has been an amazing conversation.
It has.
We've really dug deep into Jordan Peterson's ideas here.
Yeah, we have.
And it's clear that his teachings offer a wealth of wisdom and guidance for those seeking to, unlock their potential and live a more meaningful life.
And while his ideas can be challenging at times, I think they also offer a profound sense of hope and empowerment.
Yeah, I'm feeling so motivated to continue this journey of self-discovery and to apply these principles in my own life.
That's wonderful to hear. And remember that the journey of personal growth is a lifelong adventure.
Yeah.
So embrace the challenges and enjoy the ride.
I think I will. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on Conversations for a Better You. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content to help you grow. See you next time.